Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
We are so excited to be back from our winter holiday break.
Yes, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we have exciting new content and things happening in the new year to share with all you guys. So my name is Crystal Hines.
And I am Erin Linehan.
And we are the co-founders of the Collie Institute, which is a group mental health practice located in Broomfield, Colorado. We are both licensed professional counselors, and we really just love to work with the go-getters, high achievers, trailblazers,
founders.
Yes. Some of our favorite people are working with female CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And we
people that are getting after life.
Yeah. We really just love to help people fully step into their power.
Right. Be a badass.
Yeah. So that's who we are. You can learn more about what we do visiting our website at thecollieinstitute.com. We specialize in EMDR therapy and some other body-based treatments to help people heal. And yeah, we're here weekly live sharing some info with you guys.
And we're stoked about it.
Tonight, we're talking about 3 ways to know if you need a therapist or a life coach, which is an interesting topic to dive into.
Mm-hmm. And we were recently talking about this. And so where our idea came from is that Crystal and I went to the Denver Startup Week, which is amazing if you are doing anything entrepreneurial. It's a free conference essentially all over the city in a week in the third week of September, I think, somewhere around there. But we went to this, was it a CEO panel or something? Tracks. It was a CEO panel track. And so they were all talking about the struggles and the difficulties that come along with being a CEO and founding a company and all of that. And so every single one of them, I think there was a panel of, there were 5 or 6 men and there was 1 woman, and they were all talking about their struggles. And all of them talked about, I'm willing to go. I mean, they were talking about anxiety and being in depression and feeling terrible, which are all things that we as therapists can help people work with. Mm-hmm. But then they were all willing to say that, well, I'm going to hire a coach, a life coach, or I'm going to, I've worked with a life coach and it was helpful, and I'm sure that it was. And it was interesting that anxiety and depression and being really, really low are things that we do as therapists. That's what our job is. Mm-hmm. And that all of them were willing to talk and say that they saw a coach, but not a single one said that I see a therapist. And Crystal and I were like, that person probably needs a therapist because of what they're struggling with. And it's a big thing, and that's okay. Yeah. But people do not want to talk about that.
Right. So that's why we wanted to dive into this, because it just seems for many people, not everyone, maybe they just feel more comfortable about the idea of hiring a life coach rather than hiring a therapist and what that means.
Right. And so just to clarify, right, so how do we know is that in traditional models, so life coaching, from our understanding, is that here from the present, they work for things from here present forward, right? Mm-hmm. Traditional therapy works from here in the present. What are your issues from the past to get you okay in the present? Mm-hmm. And then therapy's done. Mm-hmm. And so our model, our thing that we want to do is this paradigm shift of that, because we practice EMDR. So that gets at the root of whatever the issue is. Because if you're having issues that keep on coming up in the present, likely something happened in the past to make it cause this and got stuck. So it could be trauma stuff, but it doesn't necessarily happen to be. It could be that little kid from 4th grade that called you whatever stupid or something, and then that thing stuck with you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, but it's something that sticks with us. So if you think of like, I don't know if you've ever had sap on your hands from a tree, super annoying because you can't get it off. And that's kind of like our stuff that we deal with. Mm-hmm. And so our thing here at the Collie Institute is that we want to take whatever's bothering us in the present. We want to go back and get the root of whatever that thing is, heal with it, not spend your life, not talk about your mother forever, even though that might be an issue. And it may not be, right? Talk about that, deal with it. Get to the present, and then help you be a badass that you are in the future. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, kind of blending both approaches.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you explained that so well.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm fired up about it.
I love it. Yeah. So we're going to dive into 3 ways to know, do you need to hire a therapist or a life coach? And
both are valuable.
yeah,
right?
and we're sort of generalizing here for the sake of the topic.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, we'll just see.
Just shed some light on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first way to know is when willpower just doesn't cut it.
Right.
So when we were talking about this, we were just reflecting on how some people can just feel like, if I just work harder, if I just push through it, if I just keep on going, like I have this inner driver that I can make anything happen, which is really good to have that, motivation. But there can be this just stigma and pressure around, like, we can just force ourselves to feel better just through sheer work and willpower.
And if we push our stuff down and focus on the positive, right, then we don't actually have to deal with our stuff. But the thing is that especially with really high achieving, successful people, they have developed this skill that they can push a lot of successful, high achieving people have had some shit happen in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it's probably who they are and why they're high achieving. So they've been able to compartmentalize and put that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then achieve. But then
Yes.
at some point that a high achieving person gets to, that they can't get to the next level. So that means that whatever their next level is. So I want to open my own business. I want to
publish a book.
Whatever the thing is, they can't get to the next level, and they can't just do that out of willpower.
Right, where they're used to doing that their whole life, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, this willpower, it just doesn't cut it anymore.
And so their driver breaks,
mm-hmm.
and then they're stuck, and they can't get to the next level. And so this is a great thing when the driver breaks to go see a therapist.
Yes, absolutely. And just recognizing, I think, our own, this can be for another talk, but just our own feelings, thoughts about therapy and what it means, and society's potential view or judgment on what it means to see a therapist, and just kind of be aware of our own biases and thinking that, like, we can just push through it without needing any help.
Right. And also, too, is I think that people think that they're going to be in therapy forever, and not all the time, but a lot of the times, like how long, like what think they're going to be here forever. And the case is with Crystal and I is that we want you to work us out of a job. Mm-hmm. And so that is our philosophy with the people that we see. And so we want to get you better so that you can do all the things that you want to do and be a badass. And so that is what we are doing here. And so we just want to clear up misconceptions, because I think there's a lot of things floating out there.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else to add to when willpower just doesn't cut it?
I feel real fired up.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So we're diving into 3 ways to know if you need to hire a therapist or a life coach.
Right.
So diving into the second point, when you need more than just thinking positively. So this is really similar to our last point. The reason why I really felt strongly about this one is there can be this, like, I don't know, this like pressure to feel good and just be happy and just think positive all the time, and all of a sudden magically you're going to feel better. I've fallen into that trap years ago, not recently.
Right.
But this just like, I don't know, this movement just to be positive. And that doesn't always work.
Because being positive in and of itself is not a negative, right? It's that
being positive is not a negative.
So that we are not bypassing our stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people just don't want to feel the shit that they have to deal with, because we are human beings, and because you were a kid and we're sensitive when we're kids, and things happen and we're vulnerable when we're kids, then we got stuff that we got to deal with. And so I think this is what you're saying, is that things happen, and it doesn't need to be, we don't need to dwell on them. But if you have real trauma or you have things that stick with you, just like, I'm going to be happy about this is
not very helpful.
It doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
No, because you can only do that for so long. Even if, I mean, not everyone can do that, but for people who can just kind of fake it and be happy.
Good
It
for
does
them.
not
Right.
it does not last very long. It's
Right.
just putting a Band-Aid on things. And we both really value befriending and embracing our different feelings because they're really, really important.
And they give us a lot of information because that's what
Yes.
feelings are for in the first place.
Yeah.
So when things happen, we want to go through them instead of around them.
Mhm.
And so we deal with them, and then you become this powerhouse because you've dealt with your stuff and you're grounded in your body. And you're also then positive because you've worked with your stuff. And so that's the way that you earn it.
From a real, genuine
Yes,
place.
that you are grounded in healing, really.
Yeah. And really, this idea of being happy and positive, that's fleeting, right? Happiness is fleeting. It's going to ebb and flow.
Right.
And just thinking that we can just be positive and smile and be happy, yeah, it's just not realistic.
And there is real power in owning your own shit.
Mhm.
Like, if you can look at it, you can feel the things, and also be grateful for the stuff that you've gone through, and be grateful because that has made who you are now. And it's, I think, virtually impossible if you have not worked through that, right? Through all that pain and difficulty, and you're, instead of just stuffing, but when you work through it, then you can own that, and then you can be the most positive person ever because you don't have all this like backpack of shit that you're carrying around.
Yeah. And getting back to the point about therapist or life coach, we're not saying that like life coaches are only, focusing on the positive, but what we are saying, I think, is that therapists are trained to really do the work to go to the root of what it is that is causing you problems in the first place.
Someone said it's the why. We figure out why this thing is bothering.
Right.
And also, I think that there is an assumption that therapists figure out the why, but we can't do the how, but we can do both.
Yes, we can do both.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
So
there we are.
We are talking about 3 ways to know if you need to hire a therapist or a life coach.
Right.
And our last point is when you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Who's guilty of this? Every single person.
Every single person. Right. Like, I don't know why I keep on doing. I don't know why I keep on procrastinating on this thing because I know that it causes me stress. I don't know why I don't leave on time because I know traffic makes me crazy, right? I don't know, whatever
like, why can't we learn?
Or like, I walk in the door. The same thing? Yeah. Yes. Or why do I say, I know that this person triggers whatever in me, but why do I go in thinking that that's not going to happen? That's just, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you could change, right, you would change. And people generally, on the whole, want to feel better.
Yes.
And want to do better. People are working for, I don't know the phrase that I'm looking for, but generally people want to do better.
Yeah.
And so to have that assumption about people, and that if you would change it, we are all moving towards health, whatever that is. We are all doing the best we can. It may not look like that with some people, but they are, right? Because we all want to function in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, that just means you're human, right? It doesn't mean necessarily that there's anything wrong with you, but it could be an indicator like, oh, I am stuck here. This thing is just not changing no matter what I do.
Right. I might have read a Brene Brown book. I might have done a webinar course. I might have hired a life coach. I might have done a breath workshop. I might do yoga every week. I might decide that I'm going to run a marathon. I might do a hike the Appalachian or the PCT trail by myself. And I still don't feel better, then that's when you need to do some deeper work.
Yes, that is a very clear indicator
that you need to do work.
And I think most of us are going to be in that place at some point.
Right.
Yeah. Or more than 1 point,
and
several points in your life.
And that's exactly the time when people are most afraid to be like, ugh, I got some stuff. And they don't want to look at it, or they do want to look at it, but that's like where it's hard to get to come out of hiding and find a therapist, because that can be a
Mm-hmm.
really difficult process
Yeah.
for people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
We talk about EMDR.
Sure.
Right. And so
briefly.
briefly, just what the kind of therapy that Crystal and I do, because we think it's great. It's called,
which blends both approaches from feeling the past,
yes,
feeling good in the present, and looking into the future.
Right. And so EMDR, in short, this woman figured out that when she went for walks, this woman, Francine Shapiro, when she would go for walks, that she would feel better. Like she'd be thinking about something disturbing, and then she would go for the walk and feel better. So she got super curious about why she was feeling better. And so essentially, she did all this research and realized that when there's bilateral movement, the brain is functioning like it does when we sleep. So when we have REM sleep and when we have dreams in REM sleep, our eyes move back and forth in our heads. And so EMDR is based on memory networks and what is an adaptive memory network and what is a maladaptive. So if you think you were driving today and you had a car accident, right? And you banged up your car and now it's totaled and whatever, and then you went to sleep and that information, that stuff was not processed, then it got put in the maladaptive, right? Information in that memory bank. This is making sense, right? In that maladaptive memory bank. And so every time you drive past like wherever the accident happened, you may get like or you might start having negative, or you might be really touchy on your brake because you were nervous that you were going to crash again. Right. And so that thing didn't get processed out. And so what we can do in EMDR is go in and get that and heal that. So it gets pulled into our adaptive memory. So it doesn't give us disturbance in the present.
No, we're just like, oh yeah, that thing happened.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
Right. So if you think like maybe like a work related thing, if you if you get stuck with something and you want to start your own business and leave your job, right? Let's say, and every time you think about that, you're like, or you like want to, but you feel pulled back. Something is going on, right? And so sure, you could think positively about it. You could do a values assessment. You could think forward thinking and have the how to do it, and you still might not be able to do it. So that's when you know that you would need a therapist. So the work that we do would help to be able to, have you ever picked weeds in your garden that like if you just pick up the top of the weeds, then the weed grows back. But if you get the root, then that weed does not grow back. You might have other weeds, right? But that particular weed is gone, right?
That's perfect metaphor.
And so we help people get that weed out to get you to the present. And then especially with our peak performance work that we've been doing with EMDR, then that's what takes you to the future so that you can get past that and activate your driver again so that you can get wherever you want to be and just
make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So
cool. That's where we are.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about life coaches, therapists.
Your experience with that.
Yeah, your experience. Any things you agree with or disagree with. We love it all.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We will see you guys next week.
Bye.